Morning, gang. Hope you're all doing well. So we'll get right into it, right? The Yankees, as we heard last night during the live stream, that they're talking a Jazz Chisholm trade with the Miami Marlins. Now, haven't gotten much more detail on that right now. But the fact that they're actually in active discussions is a sign that something could happen. Now, could it be just Jazz Chisholm? Could it be Chisholm and a reliever? Don't know yet. So I will keep you updated on that no matter what, right? And this is something that the Yankees absolutely need to do. Does Chisholm represent the solution? Not by himself, no. Neither does Luis Rengifo. Not does any player that we talked about. Ryan McMahon, Alex Bregman, whoever else, right? But he could be part of the puzzle that the Yankees need to put together at the trade deadline, right? And he does represent somebody with a combination of speed and some power from the lefty side that he could probably capitalize on the right-handed porch in Yankee Stadium, but also put the Yankees in a position to have somebody at leadoff to more often set the table for guys like Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and so on. This is one reason why, I said this for months now. I'm not worried about Judge and Stanton at 2 and 3 spots. I'm more worried about the 1 and the 4 spots around them, right? The leadoff and the guy that bats after Judge, because he'll set the table for Stanton and the rest of them. We don't have that guy right now, which is why I keep proposing somebody like Ryan McMahon from the Rockies if they can get him. I don't know if they can, but the 1 and the 4 spot would change the whole dynamic of this lineup, the whole lineup. So, and I think it's important. I think it's really, really important. So, but actually, Murder's Row doesn't fall only in the shoulders of Boone. Is Boone on the mound? It was Nestor Cortez's job keeping the game, gave up 5 runs. So, and the culture of losing, it's not a culture. He's not fostering a losing culture. They're losing games. This is where I think we get caught up in the weeds. Because you have other people saying it's a culture of losing. Where's the culture? The Dodgers just got swept. Orioles just got swept, right? Top teams. Do people talk about the culture of losing there? They're going to lose games no matter what. And again, and I'll ask this, Murderers Row, and I appreciate you bringing this up. What part of the culture has changed since they were the first team to 50 wins to now when they're in this stretch? What part of the culture changed that's noticeable? Aside from Giancarlo Stanton getting hurt and the team being 4 and 13 since he's gotten hurt. What part of the culture itself has changed? That's my question. Because if the culture of losing is, now, why wasn't it there in the beginning when they were winning games and they were healthy? That's my question. So let me know what you think, Murderers Row. Morning, CeeLo. What's up? Shout out to everybody. Hit that like button, gang. I want to just go over this a little bit, and I want to talk about a couple. The draft is in a couple days. Starts Sunday. And I want to talk about some of the players that the Yankees are already linked to, and to a couple of players that the Yankees should be wise to consider, right? So, and we're going to talk about this again. There are needs, and there are areas where they have not drafted significantly where they need to address, I think. So Jack is in the building. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? David Cohen. What's happening? Who needs to be further down the lineup, David? Losing start. Look, that was a bad, in Kansas City, and then we got our butts kicked by the Boston Red Sox, who stole 10 bases in one game on us, which is they exposed some of the holes in the Yankee, armor, right? And this also happens in baseball, right? Baltimore Orioles have been exposed recently for having a weak starting rotation after Corbin Burns. So they're going to have to address that too. And we're, in this bad stretch, the Baltimore Orioles have also been in a bad stretch. They just got swept by the Cubs, right? So this happens to teams. But yeah, it's a heartbreaking loss. But I want to know where the culture is, the losing culture. But Charlie, your life is sorry, dude. This is the discussion, Murder. I'm asking because I want to learn from you. I want to learn what your insight is. Because I say this a lot. People put forth a credible position, a credible argument. It motivates me to think from your shoes, right? And why would I not do that? I'm not here to get my shoulder patted every day. I don't need to be right every day. It's not an ego, and I don't need my ego stroked every day like some other people do. So There he is. Maz is in the house. When you know, well, Gleyber Torres got benched, right? What other guys you're talking about? I mean, Grisham for that one play. Okay. But again, I'll ask this too. Who is going to replace Gleyber Torres when the guy who could replace him is on the IL? John Birdie. Who do we have here? And, keep in mind, every move that they make for a call-up, a player that can lose an option. And some of these players don't have any more options. So if you call them up, you can't option them back out. You can't send them back down. You have to trade them at that point or release them. These things have to be figured in too, Murderers Row. That's important to figure it. And it's important to factor these things too. And again, I've said it repeatedly. I mean, it's time for a parting of the ways to happen between the Yankees and Gleyber Torres. And we've all vented frustrations about his lack of hustle, right? There's no doubt about that. No doubt. So, but, well, stupid play is one thing. I mean, that's a matter of opinion. Look at the play Grisham made 2 days ago when he saved that game that went for the Yankees. So he redeemed himself pretty quickly. Okay, and lazy play. Yeah, I mean, I understand Murders Row, but again, Boone doesn't sign their paychecks. Hal does, right? This isn't Little League either, or high school baseball. You can just go sit on the bench. I'll put in another kid for you. I have the kid slumping on the bench and blah. It doesn't work that way. These guys are highly paid athletes. So they're going to draw the ire from the media and the fans and everybody else. And they're going to have to stand there and answer the questions. And I don't think Boone should be the one to answer the questions for them. They should be the one answering them. Right? You can bench guys, but when you don't have guys on the bench that can fill in capably, that poses a problem, which is why we need to get healthy, right? Well, of course, we're not going to see Aaron Boone do that. You're not going to see him tearing into players in the dugout. That doesn't really happen. Do you ever see how many managers? When's the last time you saw a Yankee manager do that? Billy Martin. So, and he got into almost a fist fight with Reggie Jackson because of it. So, and you're not going to see Boone throwing his players under the bus in the post games. I mean, any manager worth anything is not going to do that. They're not going to do that. TT's in the house. What's good? David, I think that Baltimore Orioles are probably going to be more willing to overpay for needs than Cashman, but we don't know. We don't know, right? We just don't know. And nobody's making trades right now because the prices have either been not established or they're way too high, or we just don't know which teams are going to be buyers and sellers. We have no idea. There's way too many teams that are basically in contention right now. So Jared, I don't think he's in AAA. Caleb Durbin's in AAA. I don't think Cerna's ready. Let me see. He's one of those undersized. I know he's not. I had him on the channel, actually. I interviewed him, Jared Cerna. And he's in high A. He's like 3 levels away, so he's not going to be. He's been 256 in high A. So the production is not there yet, but he's known for being an undersized hustle guy, like kind of a Dustin Pedroia. So, yeah, I mean, if he was in AAA, and it was healthy, I would probably feel differently. But he's like 3 levels away right now. Vivas is an option. I wonder why they haven't brought him up yet. Demon D's in the building. What's good? Well, I know you would much rather be out of option to put up a lazy play, but you're entitled to your opinion, man. Dude, I'm not. I mean, you're the man too, Murders. I appreciate the debate too, and this is why it's important to have this back and forth without being an a-hole, without attacking people, right? Without trashing people. So I appreciate your feedback, dude. And again, your opinions are welcome. I'm not going to block you for having an opinion that doesn't align with mine. I'm not going to do that here. So Peraza, I mean, he's another guy. I honestly, I don't know why. I know he got injured and all that stuff. But I don't know why they haven't brought up Peraza and given him a long-term opportunity like they did with Volpe. I have no idea. He's an elite defender, and at the very least, I think he might be out of options too. So that's probably another reason probably why they haven't called him up. I'm guessing, but we'll see. I mean, you might as well trade him if you're not going to play him. So losing does that, Tyler Tal. Yes, it does. Losing sucks. Yeah, who would we be replacing Boone with? And who would we replace Cashman with? And why? You know, and like that's a question. And I ask this on a regular basis too, Mez. Thank you for bringing it up. Cashman does need, and and we had a bit we had better roster too. Like Birdie was a good addition, and we had a better roster. And it's like, unfortunately, he's hurt. Unfortunately, Jason Dominguez is hurt. So the guys that we could have in here right now, replacing some of these other guys that are hurt, are also hurt, which sucks. So, but this is where this is where drafting is important, right? And I want to pivot to this. If you don't mind, gang. I mean, I'll get to the rest of the comments here. Rice, yeah. Rice does. Yes, he does, Anna. You're right about that. He does stay impressive. Word life for his low average, middling on that's about 250. It's better than any second base we have right now. Kyrie, he'll probably project at maybe 20 plus home runs here in the Yankees. We don't need him to be a power guy. Third base would be more represent. We need him to set the table for the power guys with his speed and his on-base percentage. And he has an infectious energy that he would bring to this team. And it would rub off on a lot of players. The intangibles are also, sometimes as important as the stats. Middling on base percentage. I mean, let me pull up Jazz Chisholm here. And again, it would definitely be an upgrade. Him or Jonathan India. I would take either one, honestly. But that would be an upgrade of what we have now. His stats. His on-base percentage is 324 this year. So, would he like to be higher? Yeah. That's why we have other guys with higher on-base percentages too. But again, he'll give him and Jonathan India will provide more content than what we're getting now. And again, they have multiple controllable years too. I mean, we're not going to get Arias, so he's with the Padres now. We're not going to get him, so that's a pointless. But who else would you get at second? Right? Well, who, David? Who would you replace Cashman with? All those guys. Yeah, and even Girardi did this. This is one reason he wore his welcome out in the Yankees. Ripping players, yeah, days of the past now. I think Houston has a good shot at trading for Pete Alonso. I don't think Vlad's going to get moved, in all honesty, Willer, but you never know. Pete Alonso, I mean, I think he should be traded, and Houston represents a probably logical fit for him. Them or Seattle. I think he'll get me. If he gets moved, he'll probably be one of those teams. So, see, Cerna's in high A, so he's 3 levels away. He put the team together, but he didn't injure them, David. So, we have to put it on some of the players too. Like, and what's crazy? Like, we asked Cashman to make some of these moves, and they make these moves, and some of them don't work, obviously. But I don't hear channels and fans taking ownership of the moves that they asked him to make. I don't understand that. Why is that? I mean, Vivas has a 400 on base percentage too, David Cohen. So I mean, I think he's more ready than Peraza right now. Well, we'll see though. And yeah, you're right, Anna. This is why I think, 2 new faces in the infield would be wise, and then Jones and JD Davis would be probably the logical guys to DFA. We have some new guys on the bench, and then we get Birdie back. The bench would be better, and then we could move DJ to the bench. I think he would be a more logical fit for him, and he could basically play the utility role. Right? They do, yeah, they do slump a year after year. There is a point in time where they hit a skid, right? So, well, exactly, Murder. We are debating baseball at 10:40 a.m. Eastern on Friday. Yeah, this is why it's important to, you know, it's important to have air out frustrations, right? And I think it's important to air out frustrations. But I encourage folks, at least on this channel, if we're going to air out frustrations, let's air it out on accurate information. Let's make sure we're talking about the right stuff here and not, trashing people and trashing each other and stuff like that. And, using other people's talking points and all that stuff. Like, I don't need a Discord family or a Discord group of total a-holes to attack people and troll channels. Like, that's as childish and as weak as it gets. Like, but he is out of options. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing too, Tyler, right? Like, we're hearing, aside from the A's, Marlins, White Sox, the Rockies, if they can pry Ryan McMahon away, then that would be a big get for the Yankees, right? I'm hearing that the Nationals possibly could pivot the starters and the Texas Rangers could pivot the starters to sellers, but that hasn't happened yet. So, and this is why we might wait. I think the Blue Jays. I think they'll probably move Kikuchi, maybe Bassett, and maybe Bichette. I don't think they're going to move Vlad. Who's Hendry? And Minaya was an awful GM with the Mets. Awful. And Brian Sabian can be a replacement Dusty Baker. As a GM, I don't think he's retired as a coach, as a manager. He's a player's guy now. He's a player's guy. If of these two guys, Arias and George Lombard, I think Lombard's probably has the more staying power here because I think he can pivot to third base. Yeah. There is a reason. There's injuries. Look at the impact that Stanton had on the offense when he was in there, right, Murners Row? And again, that's a good point because it's important to point this stuff out. And some people might not want to hear it, right? Because they just want to blame Boone. But since Stanton's been down, the Yankees have been 4-13. With that offense, it made it almost because then you had Soto, and then you had Judge, and then you had whoever else was healthy at 4, and Judge if Stanton wasn't 4 and Stanton was at 5. But it made like now they can pitch around Soto because they're not afraid of Judge because Judge is bad as cold. They couldn't do that before. When Judge was hot and Stanton was healthy, it was murder going 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. It was really hard. But Stanton went down. Now they're playing Verdugo or Torres in 4 or 5 spot most times, and they have no business in the spot. So, which is why I keep saying a guy like Ryan McMahon will be a good fit for the 4 spot. Because then if you have him in there and then you put Stanton back at 5, then you can have Volpe at 6, Verdugo at 7, Torres at 8. It really lengthens the rest of the lineup, which is where they more logically are best suited to play, right? So mental's a part of it, but again, injuries are a part of it too, and that's not excuses. These are facts. People's opinions don't change the facts, right? So yeah. Houston? Yes, Houston needs a pitcher in middle relief and first base, and yes, they do. Pete Alonso seems the most logical fit for Houston, I think. And Chisholm's on the cheap, and he's got 2 more years of control, which is another. He makes $12 million less than Gleyber Torres this year. $12 million less. Like, whew. I expected more from Torres, and Dougie was fine, and then he just fell off the earth a couple weeks ago. I don't know what happened. The Devastator, right? I don't know what happened. Okay, we should have smacked that like button, by the way, gang. Let's get those likes up, and if anybody in here is not subscribed to the channel, please do. Please do. So Anthony, look. This is what I have right here. Okay, these are the players that the Yankees are mocked to or linked to in the draft, right? Number one is Luke Dickerson as a first round pick. He's a high school shortstop, another shortstop from New Jersey. Okay, he actually broke Mike Trout's New Jersey state record for 18 home runs this year in one season. So, and he's known for being controlled and aggressive at the same time. He's like a very level-headed player. Now, this is again, if they do this, they're just adding to the pipeline of middle infielders, right? So they're also linked to a guy named Brody Brecht from the University of Iowa. He's a big arm. Okay, he's drawing Luis Hill comps. He's a big right-handed arm. But on his best days, he's actually drawing comps to Paul Skeens from the Pirates, which is crazy. He throws 98, 99, 100. It's from the University of Iowa. So, but there are some concerns about his durability. So that's a high school shortstop and a pitcher. And the third player that they're linked to right now, and maybe I'll do a 5-round mock draft tomorrow. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Durangelo Kinchi. I apologize if I can't pronounce. If I butcher his name, I'm sorry, Durangelo. Okay, he's a pitcher from Mississippi State University. Okay, the cool thing about him is he's an ambidextrous pitcher. He throws 95 plus from the righty side and the lefty side, both. And on the righty side, he gets him to 98, 99. Okay, so he's a gifted from both arms, which is kind of crazy. So this is something that we don't normally see. Their Yankees have drafted, ambidextrous pitchers before, Pat Venditti and some of these other guys, but not at this level. So these are the three guys that the Yankees are linked to right now. I want to add two players because I do think, and I've said this, that drafting a corner infielder in the high rounds would be a wise idea for the Yankees and the college level. Because we're light in the corner infielders, third and first. So I'm going to give you one of each. Okay, they're both from the same team, the University of Tennessee. Okay, Billy Amick is their third baseman for the University of Tennessee. Okay, he batted 306 this year, 387 on base, 639 slugging. He's a stud in the College World Series. He also hit 23 home runs and 66 ribbies and 29 walks in 64 games. So he's got an electric bat, and he's a very plus defender too. He's a third baseman. And the other one is Blake Burke. He's his teammate at Tennessee also. First baseman, a big lefty. I understand Ben Rice is here, but they still need to draft corner infielders no matter what. This guy's a big lefty bat. It's about 6'3", 240 or something like that. He batted 379 this year, 449 on base, 700 slugging, 20 homers and 61 ribbies and 30 doubles and 11 steals this year. So these are the two guys right now I think would be wise for the Yankees to consider. If they're available in both rounds, those are the two guys I would draft. I would draft both of them if I could and have a corner infield in the high rounds. I do think they need to draft corner infielders from college in the high rounds of this draft. So there are 20 rounds, obviously, and maybe I will do a mock draft, a 5-round mock draft. That's not a bad idea. And obviously I will, once the draft starts Sunday, I'll keep you updated on everything that they do, which is why I ask people to subscribe, because I'll keep you fed in on everything. So Buck Showalter, I think he's past his time. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it in New York already with the Mets. So, and he had a roster full of mercenaries. So I'm a pass on Buck Showalter. He's also like 30 years older than Baron Boone. But kudos to the outside the box thought, Jack. Chisholm and India seem like the most logical fits for second base. Yes. And Willard, I can see the Mets. I think the Mets should become sellers and not buyers. I don't think there's any way they're gonna get past the Phillies and the Braves. So they can get value from a lot. They can even re-sign him in the free agency in the offseason, but get some prospects for him now. They could send. Severino and Alonso to Houston would be an interesting trade. I wonder what they can get back. Is the question. I wonder what they can get back, Willard. Houston can go for Jordan by shocking trade for you. Who's their left field? You talking about Yordan Alvarez? That would be insanity. Well, left fielder Randy. Okay. Oh, Rosarena. Yeah. He's a left field. I thought he was a right field. Okay. A Rosarina would be. I would watch out for the Braves and the Dodgers for a Rosarina too. The Braves have not replaced Ronald Acuna yet, and adding somebody like Rosarina would probably be a good fit for them. So, well, this is what I'm talking about, Michael Ryan. This is why I'm a big proponent of has Amick has been connected to the Yankees, right? Oh, that's cool. I'm a proponent of drafting, corner infielders at the college level because they're closer to the majors, closer to the higher levels of the farm. So the path to the majors wouldn't take as long. And these guys are tearing the cover off the ball, which the Yankees need production from the corner infielders, right? So this gives them what they need, especially in the short term. Instead of I like the international picks, but they're 16, like the Roderick Arias of the world. They're still 4 years away. Which is, this is why I wouldn't draft another high school shortstop like Luke Dickerson. He's got talent in the world, but like college corner infielders will be. I mean, I would look at Billy Amick and I would look at Blake Burke. Yeah, they're both from Tennessee. They both played at the high level in the SEC. It's a huge conference, right? And they address needs for the Yankees, and they're in the college level. There he is. There he is, the main man. My man, Anthony. What's up, brother, from the strike zone? Democracy matters. How are you, my friend? Rice, a new second baseman, Volpe, a new third baseman, Wells, Soto, Judge, Verdugo, Santa Rosa. I mean, something like that, Michael. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we really need to see a new face at second and a new face at third. But I wanted to bring up these, give you some insight in terms of who the Yankees are kind of tied to, linked to right now in the draft, and who will be a good idea for them to consider in the draft. So, Cups of Joe. What's up, Cups of Joe? But give me your thoughts. Yeah, and this is the thing, 420, right? Like, the energy that Jazz Chisholm would bring would rub off on a lot of his players. He's a very positive member of the clubhouse. That positive energy is something that the Yankees can use an infusion of. Make the dugout more lively, right? Put him on the field more lively. So, and it's not only the stats, it's also the intangibles. And he's also he's got +7 defensive run saved at second base. He hasn't played second since 2022, but he's an elite defender at second. So there goes that. And he's 26 years old and he has 2 more controllable years. Spencer Jones, I would love. Democracy Matters, believe me. I think sometime in AAA will probably do him some good. But Vivas, I don't see why they haven't called him up. Or even Jeter Downs, I don't see why they haven't called him up yet. Augustin Ramirez gives them an opportunity to potentially package guys like Jose Trevino. And again, like they're talking trade. They started talking trades last night with the Marlins, right? So the Marlins need catching. The Yankees have a pipeline of catching. They also need a shortstop. The Yankees have a pipeline of shortstops, right? Middle infielders and catchers are what the Yankees have a lot of. That could headline trades with the Marlins for Jazz Chisholm and maybe a reliever or 2 relievers. So that's, would be a wise idea for them. And I talked about this, trade from a position of depth and strength to address positions of need. Well, here you go, right? There's a lot of catching depth. You got Carlos Narvaez, you got Augustin Ramirez. And if you can trade Trevino, who also has a year of control, then maybe you can call up Augustin Ramirez. It also gives you an opportunity to potentially trade Narvaez too with Trevino, so they can have their catcher right now and their catcher of the future, and maybe gives you a better, solid footing to try to get Tanner Scott and Andrew Nardi or something like that. But yeah, democracy. The college players are more short-term impact than the high school players for the most part, unless there's some exceptions, but even Jackson Holloway, look at him. He was lighting the world on fire, right, in high school, and lighting the minors on fire. And he came up. He was terrible in the majors. Came back, lit the minors on fire again. Went up, called him again. Terrible. He wasn't ready. Wasn't ready. And that's not a surprise. He's number 1 prospect in all baseball. But when you're not ready, you're not ready. Right? Number 1 prospect in baseball, not the number 1 player in baseball. So, yeah, I hope that I hope that they make these trades sooner than later, Michael. And I wonder what trades they can make. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Willie Randolph would be interesting. Donnie Baseball, unfortunately, is with Toronto. Wally Backman. I wonder if Posada and Gardner would ever consider being coaches. Yeah, I mean, Tim. I mean, Chisholm brings speed, right? Volpe's got speed, but he's not utilizing it. Um, and when we get John Birdie back in a couple weeks, he's one of the fastest players in baseball. He would also, and he also played with Chisholm in Miami, right? So we'd have two more speedy guys to add to this lineup, right? And then we'd have that because if you had Volpe and Chisholm and Birdie playing in the lineup at the same time, you'd have guys like potentially wrecking havoc on the base paths. And then when they're on the base paths, they wouldn't be able to pitch around some of the other guys. Because the last thing you want to do then is pitch around Soto when Judge is healthy and hitting, and then put him in position to hit a 3-run home run instead of a solo shot. Like it lengthening the lineup and bringing the right fits here makes it much more difficult on opposing pitchers. It really does. So he is the bench coach with the Blue Jays. Yes, Don Mattingly. Yes, he is. Hector, man, I'm telling you, man. I don't know what they're gonna do, but they need to make some moves, man. Jazz had a back injury last year. Yeah, he's had some, but I think playing him at second would be less wear and tear on his body than playing him in center field. I don't think the Blue Jays are gonna do that, Michael. Kudos for that, though, for the Office of Prospects for Mattingly. That's an interesting one. And yeah, I think Neely deserves a call up too. I don't think he does, John. I don't think they're going to move on from Volpe. It doesn't make any sense to. So, yeah, Judge is ice cold right now with his bat. Yep, which is why we need Stanton back. We need Birdie back, and then we need to get more reinforcements here sooner than later. I think the odds are pretty good that he makes a move over the All-Star break, John. Maybe even before that, because they're already talking trade. They started talking trade last night with the Marlins. So we'll see. But yeah, we needed to get over the finish line instead of just talking about they're talking about trades. Yeah, Jack Neely is good. He's legit, Democracy. He's legit. So he'd be one of those guys worth calling up. If you got Andrew Nardi or Tanner Scott and you call up Jack Neely, that's two new faces in the bullpen. So I'll take that. Cortez in the bullpen. Yeah, I mean, he's, look, when Clark Schmidt comes back, one of these guys, Cortez or Luis Hill, most likely going to go to the bullpen. Well, this is the problem, John, right? A lot of teams are on offensive contending. So, teams that we're hoping would be sellers might be buyers now. And it gives the Yankees and other teams less teams to trade with. It's not only a Yankees problem, it's a problem across the board right now. Since they added two more teams to the wild card, it's changing the dynamic of the trade deadline. It really does. So, and we'll have to just wait and see. But there's a reason why the Dodgers haven't traded yet. The Orioles, there's a reason why, because they're in the same spot as the Yankees. So let Warren Warren struck out 11 his last game. So he had a rough start and he's come around. Will Warren, he's one of our more highly touted pitching prospects too. I have no problem. I've talked about Will Warren, and they've already surpassed the date in May so he can get an extra year of service time. So I have no issue getting Warren up here. Yep. Volpe and Verdugo being cold, Stanton getting hurt, caused a domino effect, and none of those is Boone's fault. None of those is Cashman's fault. It just happens. It's part of the game, unfortunately. But again, yeah, pitchers can just pitch around Soto right now. And right now, Judge is cold, and they will pitch around Soto knowing that Judge is cold. So, and knowing that the batters behind Judge are not going to do anything. They're almost an automatic out right now. And they can't be. At the 4 or 5 spot in the Yankees, they can't be an automatic out. No freaking way. Chase Hampton, I wish Hampton was another one. He's got the best best arm in the system, best fastball and everything else for the Yankees prospects. So 100% Joseph, Cousins and Tonkin. They're pleasantly surprising. But they need a lefty, maybe two lefties. Yeah. So I had the round table all day when I was talking to Hector and NFE, and we're talking about Tats from Pinstripe Chronicles and Ryan from Fireside Yankees. And, we were talking about, and kudos to Ryan for this, Tanner Scott and Andrew Nardi. If we can trade for both of them at the same time, that would be a good idea. Now that we're talking Jazz Chisholm, can you do a three? Can you do Chisholm and both lefty relievers? It would be a blockbuster trade. It would cost a lot, but you'd be addressing two holes in one, and then you can just pivot to third base and potentially add a starting pitcher if you wanted to do that. Because it looks like they're quietly looking. So, but that'd be a good, and again, it reminds me of when the Yankees traded with the White Sox, when they got Todd Frazier, the Todd father, David Robertson, and Tommy Kahnle in one trade with the White Sox. This would be something similar. Hampton could be used in a trade. Depends on what. If you're going to get somebody like Garrett Crochet, then yeah. Or a Tarek Skubal. I'm not trading a highly touted starter unless I'm getting a starter in return. Right? So Tanner Scott and Jazz, we can do both, yeah. I mean, he's got to be willing to move, like it might cost a Roderick Arias and I don't know, Carlos Narvaez and another piece or two, right? Sure. But what did Boone do last night, Phil? That was inexcusable. What cost the Yankees the game more than Nestor Cortes giving up 5 runs? I'm curious, Phil. We need to bring up some good players, and we need to trade for some good players, no doubt. We need both, Demon D, right? We need both. So I would trade salvage if we can get those two lefties. And I would go salvage Arias and Narvaez to get both those lefties. I mean, Tanner Scott is a win now move because he's gonna be a free agent. Andrew Nardi's got 3 more years of control. So, Ramirez and Lindor have virtually identical stats into their careers. Jose Ramirez? Jose Ramirez is a freaking stud, man. Jose Ramirez is an absolute stud. Send Torres and DJ to the Dodgers for Lux and Kiki. That'd be an interesting one, Joseph. That didn't cost them the game. Pinch hitting for Wells didn't cost. I mean, again, Cortez gave up 5 runs. So, Soto's got some uncomfortable stuff on his right hand. I haven't heard anything about Judge being hurt. But Soto says he wants to play the All-Star game. He's playing through some aches and pains, no doubt. Yeah, exactly, Jefferson. But team control with multiple years brings a lot of value, right? Brings a lot of value, and it's a similar type of value than a win now player is going to be a free agent. But nevertheless, they both have a lot of value, right? So, man, let it be a stupid move, but again, we don't know why they did it. Yeah, I mean, I would have just kept. I mean, I personally would think Wells should play more than Trevino. I think Trevino should be trade bait. But until that happens, this is the roster that Boone has to deal with. Right? So, yeah, Nestor got hit again. He's better at home than he is away, unfortunately. I wish this game was in Yankee Stadium. I really do. I don't know why his stats are on I don't know. You hit that like button, gang. If anybody hasn't hit that thumbs up yet, let's hit those thumbs up. Let's hit those likes up, man. I appreciate it. If I had the ability to make any 3 moves right now with absolute freedom, I would trade for Tarek Skubal from the Tigers. I would trade for Ryan McMahon from the Rockies, and I would trade for the 2 relievers from the Marlins. And if I could add Jazz Chisholm to it, that's what I would do. Those are my 3 trades I would make. I don't know what the reasoning behind it was. And I would have just I want Wells playing more than Trevino is. Wells is a first round pick, right? Out of the University of Arizona. So because he played regularly. So I wanted to play regularly here to get hit, come back to his first round pedigree. So, and I think would be a good idea. Well, Paul Skeens, yeah, but I know that's not going to happen. So I just added the 3 trades that I think are actually possible. Yeah, thank you, Mercer. I think those 3 moves would help the Yankees tremendously. Paul Skeens is that would be a fantasy move for me. Like in a fantasy world, I would trade for him and freaking O'Neal Cruz and move O'Neal Cruz to third base. But that's not going to happen. Do I wish? Sure, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think they're going to trade Soto. There's no way. Walls remind you, Matt Noakes. I remember Matt Noakes. Yep. I remember him. I was at Jim Abbott's no-hitter in Yankee Stadium in the early 90s, and Matt Noakes was the catcher of that game. And they came out and celebrated with a big bottle of champagne. It was awesome. No doubt, Chet, Verdugo needs to wake up. Absolutely needs to wake up. Right? If they do, if they traded him and got a starting pitch and got something, because they can call up Oscar Gonzalez if they want and put him in left field, right? Until Jason Dominguez is ready. And Dominguez is not ready yet. But we have somebody in AAA that can take his place, right? Dev, thank you. Dev, you're the devastator, man. I'm telling you, you got your own nickname now, man. A Crochet trade would be expensive, but it would, it would definitely be an appealing piece here, Could you do Crochet and Luis Robert, right? That would be like complete insanity, but you'd have to give up Jason Dominguez in that. You'd have to give up Verdugo. You'd have to give up a lot in that trade. So, Luis Robert all but ends the Jason Dominguez discussion, right? O'Neal Cruz would be a beast. I wish, baby. Would I consider trading for 2 infield? Yeah. Well, if you bring up Peraza, then we don't need to trade for 2 infielders. It would either be 1 trade or 1 call up. Like if I was going to bring up Peraza and play him at third, then I would try to acquire Jazz or India for second. If I was going to bring up Peraza and play him at second, then I would try to trade for McMahon for third base. And I know some people even want Alex Bregman for third base. So that's what I would do if I was going to call Peraza up. And because we do have John Birdie coming back and he plays multiple infield positions, so we have that versatility. And I would have him on the bench, obviously the other catcher on the bench, and I would have DJ on the bench, and then the 4th outfielder on the bench. Yeah, well, exactly, Nosebleed. This is perspective, right? Playing like crap, and we're only 2 games out. The Orioles are playing like crap too. Just the way that it is, unfortunately. This is a grind. It's 162 game season. Yeah, they fail with runners in scoring position. That's on them, not on Boone. It's their job to move runners over. There's only a player or 2 that I would give up Dominguez for in a trade. I would not give up Jones for anybody right now. There's no way I would take Benintendi. I'll take Kopech, but not Benintendi. If I want an outfielder from the White Sox, the only guy I want is Luis Robert. Forget Benintendi. Your dad was at Jim Out. Nice, Dad. I was there too, man. Yeah, Tyler. This is at the end of the day, we need 2 infielders, probably 2 relievers, and potentially 1 starter. I think you're on the bullseye right there, Talbot. You're on the bullseye. Yeah, I think the Astros are going to add now to what they have because they're playing a hell of a lot better than they were earlier. Which is why they're my dark horse for Pete Alonso for first base. I mean, my first pick for him is the Seattle Mariners, but my dark horse team is the Astros, especially since they've already gotten rid of Jose Abreu. Well, yeah, and Sean, we do need to get some vengeance, man. 100%, 100,000%. And we have Cole on the mound today, so we got to shove. And the Orioles are probably going to be pissed too, have a chip on the shoulder because they just got swept by the Cubs. So, today could be a feisty game. And we have Cole on the mound, which, is the best guy to have if we're going to be a feisty game. So, I think, honestly, Jefferson, maybe they'll inquire for DJ, but I think DJ is going to be a bench piece if they get 2 infielders. No, I think Torres is a trade piece more than DJ is. I think Torres is a trade because they could trade him, Jefferson, probably for international money or just a fringe prospect, and that's it. At this point, you got to take the L and move on. But there needs to be a parting of the ways, right? So they look like crap, man. They look like crap. Yeah, Murders Row. They definitely look like crap. Peraza at second, McMahon at third. I think there's a shot at that. And again, but if you're gonna call Peraza up, we got to play him, right? And that's the bottom line. Yeah, I think. The reason why Judge has a couple DH days on occasion, especially they're playing on turf. They got to protect his toe and his legs and stuff like that. So, and Tampa's turf, so they got to give him a little bit of protection. But he's good in the outfield. The Astros are too talented to suck that long. It's one of the things I said earlier. They're just too talented to suck that long. Nosebleed, that could happen, but I don't think it will. Vivas at second, Peraza at third. I could see one of them coming up here. Most likely Vivas because he's hitting better than Peraza is. But I don't know. Yeah, Verdugo is sulking. He's he doesn't look good up there. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty decent trade for the Mets getting Phil Maton. He's having a relatively down year, but he's got a good arm. There he is, Yankees winners and losers, a.k.a. the Council Yeti. My man. Vivas has positional versatility just like Birdie does. Yes, he does. He can play multiple infield positions. Would I be disappointed if they traded for 1-1? No. One trade and 1 call-up. At the very least, like if they traded just for 1 reliever, let's just say Tanner Scott, then calling up Jack Neely, I'd be happy with that. If they traded just for 1 infielder and they called up another one, I'd be fine with that too. But they have to make at least 1 of each. Would I like more Jefferson? Yes, but at the end of the day, I understand too. They don't want to have like a massive, like a desperate overpay either. I get it. So, how long do I think it takes? It depends, Phil. If they're drafting from college or high school, or signing international players who generally are 16, 17 years old. So, That's why those guys take him. I mean, Jason Dominguez was in the system like 5 years before he came up here. So, because they drafted him, I think, at 15 or 16. So, he was in his 5th year when he got called up here last year. So, and those international, they take several years because they're so young. The college players, the good ones, I think, are probably the best candidates for them to draft right now because they're not that far away. And I would draft them in positions of need, like corner infield, right? Drop something. And this is where they need. This is where they need depth in the farm. So we'll see the draft. The draft starts Sunday, so I will keep you updated on the draft. And I'll probably do a mock draft tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see big names. I mean, nosebleed. I don't know. I don't know about big names, but like Rengifo's not a big name for me, right? Some of these other guys. I mean, there really is no superstar player available that can fit the Yankees' needs that we know of right now. I think I don't care about big moves. I think smart moves and strategic moves would be a good plan for the Yankees. I don't know. It's a good question. About the logic of what's a good question, Murders Row. It's a good question to ask them. Well, yeah. I mean, this is like John. I mean, I think it's time now to move on from Torres. I would hate to not make a move and expect him to resurrect himself and it not happen. I'd rather come in here and just get some production now. So, yeah, the MLB draft is different than it is in the NFL and the NBA. So, like, well, Jefferson, I was talking about that earlier. The Yankees are linked to a high school shortstop, Luke Dickerson. They're linked to a college pitcher, Brody Becht, and then another college pitcher, Durangulo Kinchi. I can't pronounce his name. He's from Mississippi State University. The college pitcher from the University of Iowa. He's drawing comparisons to Luis Hill, and when he's really on, he draws comparisons to Paul Skeens. Luke Dickerson broke the New Jersey State record. Broke Mike Trout's New Jersey State record, 18 home runs this year. So that's another high school shortstop with potentially drafted in the first round. They just drafted George Lombard last year in the first round as a high school shortstop. And the college pitcher, Mississippi State, with the crazy name, he pitches 95 plus from both sides, righty and lefty. And then I put 2 players that they should be looking into, I think. Corner infielders, both from the University of Tennessee. Billy Amick, third baseman, and Blake Burke, first baseman. Tearing the cover off the ball with their bats. Those would be good, I think, fits. And I said this. I've said this over the last week or so. Drafting some corner infielders in the college levels in the first couple of rounds would be a good idea for the Yankees. Yeah, Bellinger has a broken finger by a pitch. So Isaac Paredes, I heard about him too, Tyler. Yeah, I mean, Tats brought up Jake Burger the other day from the Marlins. I found that interesting. Could you get a Burger and one of those relievers? I'm curious, but they're talking Chisolm right now with the Marlins. So always a pleasure, Murders Row. I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute too, but I wanted to get your feedback on this. Let everybody know that they are talking Jazz Chisolm trade. And let me look up really quickly to see if we have any momentum here or whatever. If we got anything going on with the Yankees, let's see. No, it doesn't look like. No, I'm gonna check on the other side here. I don't know how much momentum. I mean, this could happen too. There'd be no momentum, and all of a sudden we just get breaking news: Yankees made a trade. This happens more often than not, especially with the Yankees, since they don't leak any information, right? So yeah, it looks like they're just talking Jazz Chisolm with the Marlins. I don't know if they're talking Chisolm and a reliever, Chisolm and Burger, or like that. We don't know yet. Looking at Yankees, Yankee. No, nothing yet. But that's what we have, gang. That's what we have. So I want to thank you all for coming on. I appreciate the feedback, the comments, the support. Peace and love to all of you. And again, the Yankees have Baltimore now for the next 3 games, and then it's the All-Star break. We need to win the series, right? We definitely need to win the series. The best available player at the down. We don't even know, Phil. That's the problem, right? We don't know because teams like the Astros, they might not make Alex Bregman available. Teams like the Mets, they might not make Pete Alonso available, right? So we don't know who the best players are. We do know that the A's are going to be sellers. So, I mean, if I'm going to look at a player, Brent Rooker is a bat. He played DH on the outfield. He's a guy I would look at. Maybe you can send Verdugo to Oakland. And he's got like 4 or 5 years of control left, Brent Rooker. So he's on the cheap. We know that the Angels are likely going to trade him. I know Renjifo's name has been mentioned, but he's on the IL. Carlos Estevez for the bullpen. We know that the White Sox are going to be sellers. The Marlins are likely going to be sellers. Those are the most frequent teams that we're hearing about that are going to be sellers. We don't know yet about the Rockies, but if they do, Ryan McMahon's my guy. So, but again, this is where, we need more information so that we can be more forthright with our proposals and more. Yeah, they do want a lot. And I can't blame the A's for wanting a lot for Brent Rooker. They want a ton for Mason Miller, too. Like, imagine we wake up one day and the Yankees got Rooker and Mason Miller in a trade. Like, that would be freaking insanity. That would cost them a chunk of the farm. But, like, could you imagine that? These are the types of things that's fascinating. This is why, I like having these discussions on the live streams with you guys and Kels. It's enjoyable to see. We love to play mock GM. I like to do this more than I do blaming people and trashing people. So, but that's what we have here right now. So stay tuned, gang. Okay, hit the like button on the way out, please. Hit the sub button on the way out if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet. Okay, it's greatly appreciated, and your support means the world. So stay tuned. Have a great day. Peace.